Okay, guys, here's the watch list for Tuesday. I'm going to start with IMMU. You can kind of see a trend line here, and it's really kind of flagging, building, if you will, right at this area. And last 2 days, the highs were 249, and again today, 249.4. I don't know how that happens. So you get over the half, over 250. Another possible catalyst right here of 254, and then maybe you take out this high, and this is why flag patterns work, or just ascending triangles, that sort of thing. You start taking out recent highs. Here's 262, and then maybe completely into the gap would be 276. So that's what we call stacked catalysts. You get that when you have a series of lower highs, but it's really also putting in higher lows. So it looks like it's building for a potential breakout. Right? That's IMMU. Really like it over 250 with some volume. Tomorrow. NCR, really kind of in a tight range here, but if you go to intraday, see really nice volume at the close. I mean, this was trading around 25.66 and then just took off over the next half hour all the way to 26.20. Here it is on 60-minute candles, and then back to the daily. So you've got to like it over this 2-day high. I'll give you the numbers. 26.20 was today's high, 26.19 yesterday's high. So and then the high from about a week ago, 26.25. All right, so if we get through 26.20, it could and probably should pop right through this 26.25, and then maybe a quick move to 27. I really like the volume that occurred at the end of the day. A couple others. PMTS. Now there's not a lot of history to go on here. It looks like a relatively new issue from maybe two and a half weeks ago. Came out of the gates at 11, ran to 1340, and then just straight down. Well, today it was pretty strong and put in a 2-day high. Today, 261,000. So that should give you some kind of idea that this is a thinner float, lower volume stock. So keep that in mind. I'm not generally a fan of that. It's hard to get a read on something that's just new. But it's also interesting over the 2-day high. All right. Sometimes these newer issues can get a really nice bounce once they finally bounce, especially after they come public and then in about a week take out the lows. You can get nice turns on these. So 1087 was today's high, 1087 was Friday's high. So you could put in your notes 1088 as one potential catalyst, and maybe it gets going. I need to watch that one trade though. I can't say that I watched it trade today. CRUS. I think they said Apple earnings is after the close tomorrow. Email me and correct me if that's wrong. That's what I thought a couple guys in the chat room said today. And I think CRUS selling off in anticipation of maybe Apple earnings disappointing. I believe they're a supplier to Apple, and Apple was fairly weak today. Having said that, if Apple's going to report tomorrow after the close, and this one made a look at the size of that daily candle. If you pan way out, you really don't see another red candle with that kind of range. So it might be overdone to the downside. You hear me say this in a lot of my videos. A lot of times, the sellers or short sellers, whatever, get a hold of a stock that's selling and they just don't really allow it to bounce at all. And then the next day you get a nice bounce. I see it all the time. I also like the fact that this is, really ahead of itself to the downside and hitting support. So you might get a little bit of a bounce tomorrow. So that one goes on Bounce Watch. EROS. Traded this one a couple times today and ended up probably made almost four-figure day just on this one alone, and I didn't even trade it that well. But a lot of people in chat did well on this one. It wasn't easy. I gotta say, it wasn't easy on an intraday basis. But I think this one might have another bounce day. I mean, if you look at it, a couple weeks ago, this thing was trading 33.09 and went all the way down to Friday's low of 14.43. Company released a statement right before the open this morning, basically saying they don't have any material reason why the stock's been getting hit like that, and kind of reaffirmed their business and so on. So once one of our members in chat posted that right before the opening bell, I already had this on watch anyway, it gave me a little more confidence to really watch this one. So we did make a couple calls in this one today. I didn't time mine all that well, but I still made, like I said, it still had a pretty good day in it. But I think this bounce might continue tomorrow. It was pretty darn strong today. And that's EROS. So just looking for maybe a red to green or something like that in it tomorrow. WUBA, 3.8 million shares today, and kind of trying to break out above this high back here was 52.95, and it closed below that, but at one point today it went up to 54.07. real quick, I'm going to look up on a website because I thought I saw some interesting numbers on WUBA. So W, let me type it in real quick. I'm talking about the float here. It looks like, and this is according to finviz.com, so these numbers can be wrong, but it looks like, according to them, 11.7 million float, so a tiny float, and 42% short. Again, I always kind of question those numbers in my mind, but if those are anywhere close to being real, this one could have a nice red to green, second day move, maybe up to the 200-day tomorrow. So, which would be a decent day trade if we get any kind of decent entry in it. So I want to watch that one. That's WUBA, and then PayPal, PYPL gapped up today, and it did kind of one of those annoying things that sometimes you get on a gap up, sells off, and just does, it just kind of keeps retesting the open here, and I generally wouldn't have traded during lunch anyway. Looks like it's rolling over, and then in the last hour and a half, just runs for the last hour and a half to close all the way at the highs of the day. So you look at the daily candle, and you say, hey, this one had a nice move, but it never gave any kind, and I never took a trade in it on an intraday basis, but it was on my radar this morning because of the gap up. But with this close, it is interesting because it's over probably a month and a half worth of trading. It's a relatively new issue, as you can see, and decent relative volume today. So I want to watch this for a red to green or something tomorrow. This one might have a nice continuation day. And then lastly, YELP. Very nice pop today, up to recent highs. Also maybe a red to green there tomorrow. We will also be focused on gap plays in the morning and intraday reversal plays that the group is really good at spotting as well. All right, so I'll leave it at that. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night.